You're listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently from Jen Duplessis, America's mortgage mastery mentor with over 37 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. Jen has been mentoring loan officers and realtors for over 15 years and speaking on stages across the globe. So settle in and get ready as Jen and her guests share their experience, passion, and strategies to help you crack the top producer code to reach new heights in your business. And now, here's your host, Jen Duplessis, Mortgage Mastery Mentor and head chick in charge of Kinetic Spark Consulting.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Mortgage Lending Mastery. I'm so delighted that you joined us today. And I just want to start off by saying, please write us a review today. We love reviews. We love if you take just a quick moment to scroll down, after this, you've heard this, and give us a great 5-star review and write a great comment about our guest and what you learned from her today that you're going to be learning here. It means so much. And last but not least, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have those links in there as well. And I said last but not least, but I have more. We have our virtual Limitless event in October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I will be in Las Vegas speaking from my hotel room because I'm traveling to Hawaii. But we're going to be doing it there. So make sure you're signing up and registering for that. We have the link in the show notes as well. So without further ado, I want to again say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and joining us. My guest today, Kelly, joined the Money Corp team based out of the Orlando, Florida office in 2006. So she is an expert in what we're going to be talking about today. She's held various positions with the company, and she took on the role of the country manager, which I've never heard of that title, Kelly. That's a new one. So she's
I think it's very British and European.
Yeah, it's very country. Is that equivalent to like the national sales manager or something in the US? Right?
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. But she heads up Money Corp's U.S. operations, where she leads a team of foreign exchange experts who work very closely with global offices about foreign exchange of money. And she helps realtors promote their businesses internationally because, as we know, as real estate agents, as investors, and as mortgage loan officers, that we have clients that are moving in from other countries. And you know what? Some of us are heading to other countries ourselves. So she's the person who can help us with the conversion of our money. So that said, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you here, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And, we met at the Florida Association of Realtors Expo, which I'm so excited. I hope that was successful for you guys, by the way. It was so refreshing to be at a place where there were 5,000 attendees, not signed up and only 2 showed up, right? 5,000 attendees. Mm-hmm. And just feel like the world's back to normal. And of course, as we're recording this, the state of Maryland just enacted masks for all the schools again. So we'll see where that takes us in the future. But, oh, Lord, hope we don't go back that way. I think there's going to be a big pushback. So let's talk about money exchange and why. Let's start off with, why is this such an issue in the mortgage space, in the lending space, in real estate as well, especially when we're all so transient? Why is this such an issue for us? Tell us a little bit about why we need to know this.
So over the course of the last 17 years that I've been with Money Corp, the world has constantly evolved, right? And so in my first, decade here, it was mostly, Brits and Canadians that were buying second homes and vacation rental properties here in Florida, right? And then you kind of fast forward a few years, and then we seem to have the Brazilian takeover. And then, it's become more and more of just an international market here, not only in Florida, but throughout the US. But the really funny thing is now fast forward to kind of the start of COVID and even to now. And we're starting to really see a lot of interest from Americans that are looking to buy overseas, specifically in places like France and Portugal and even Mexico. This last week, I was at a conference in Denver, and there were 800 people there that were all there at this seminar to learn about working, living, and playing in other countries. And they're just ready to go. They're selling up shop and looking to move and retire overseas. So I think that more and more, and I think the future is just international business, whether we work in another country, our customers are in another country, or we're looking to live in another country. It's just
one big world,
the way the world is at this moment in time. So it's really important for all of us.
I wish I would have known about it, because that's something that my husband and I are entertaining. I would have come out there. And especially because that's my hometown. So, why Money Corp? And you and I've talked about it. There's a colleague that I used to work with your, a colleague that used to work at your company or still does. We used to do some seminars for investors several years ago about, money exchange. Why Money Corp? People don't understand just the name of the company. We have to make sure we understand that too. But so if I'm going to transfer money and I'm overseas, and either way, it doesn't matter, but I'm transferring money and I'm doing the money exchange, and we all have seen it when we've gone through the airport, the exchange of money, etc. What is the big hiccup that's happening from a banking perspective when it comes to that? I'm not talking about going and exchanging a couple $100 because I'm traveling. I'm talking about big transactions. What's the big issue with banks?
Sure. Whether you're buying a property or even just renting a property, you're going to have regular exposure to the foreign currency exchange rates. So there's something known as the interbank rate of exchange, and that's the exchange rate that the big banks are sort of buying and selling billions of dollars of foreign currencies at, but it's not actually the exchange rate that you or I, or as a realtor, any of your foreign customers, buyer or seller, would ever have access to. Money Corp does have access to that true rate of exchange. Last year, Money Corp converted over $90 billion worth of foreign currencies. So we get that same rate as the big banks. What our customers don't realize is that there's then a markup, right? The banks buy the currency at one rate and then they sell it to you at another. The unfortunate thing is that those margins are quite significant, and it's a hidden cost to your clients. Most US banks are taking a margin or a spread of somewhere between 3-5, and it's not unheard of to even hear banks taking 10% margins. So this is a massive hidden fee to a buyer. Yeah. Money Corp works off of a less than 1% margin. So we're able to get clients really, really close to the true actual rate of exchange. And this goes not only for clients moving money from the US to France as an example, but absolutely for your clients buying from Canada down to the US, or from the UK into the US as an example. So any currency exchange that a client would need to do, it's really important for them to shop around to make sure that they're getting the best possible rate of exchange. Otherwise, they're certainly leaving a lot of money on the table. I had a client this past weekend when I was in Denver at that conference explain that he compared our exchange rate to the rate that his bank had given him 2 days prior, because we hadn't unfortunately met yet. And he did that transfer, and lo and behold, he realized that the bank made $30,000 on his transaction. So we're not talking about small amounts of savings. Right. We are absolutely talking about savings which are covering your closing costs, buying your furniture packages, or paying for your flights to and from your overseas property for many, many years to come.
Yeah. Well, and shipment of your furniture. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that it's affecting you. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty substantial, adjustment. Now, the other thing is, I know you, in your examples, you had said US to France, Canada, France, London to the USA. I want to make sure that everybody understands this is Bali to London too, because you're international, correct? That this isn't That's just correct. US originated or destination. It's all over the world. And Money Corp's been around for a really, really long time. Would you consider your company, to be a bank? to be what do you consider? What if I said to you, Money Corp is a what entity?
We're really a money service business. So we are licensed for the provision of currency exchanges and international money transfers. You might be surprised to learn that Money Corp is actually a bank in some jurisdictions, right? In Brazil, as an example, we are actually a bank. In Gibraltar, we are actually a bank. But in most other regions where a platform that is capable of exchanging and transferring funds on behalf of our clients at these bank beating rates of exchange.
Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. That's a good way to understand it. What are some of the other pitfalls about transferring money through banks other than, traditional banks, other than the cost? What else is there that just causes trouble?
There's a couple things, if I may.
Yeah.
So one of the other things to consider is that exchange rates fluctuate constantly. And if someone's considering buying a home overseas, and let's say they're finding the property of their dreams today, but they're not actually going to close on that property for 6 months' time, a lot can happen with the exchange rate between now and then.
Right.
What the banks don't do is have any capability to monitor those fluctuations on your behalf and to provide you with proactive service so that you can determine the best time to make that transfer within your buying time frame.
Mm-hmm.
With Money Corp, we're going to monitor the exchange rate on your behalf, and we're going to help you to target the best exchange rate within that time frame. So again, it's a much more consultative, proactive approach, whereas with the banks, you just have to call them on the day that you're ready to do a transfer and take
Right.
the rate that's available on that day, and otherwise you leave it. So that's one thing, is just that lack of proactiveness.
Right.
But another thing is the banks are transparent with one thing, and that's the upfront fee. So that's the wire transfer fee. If you were to contact any bank around the world, they're always going to charge you an international transfer fee. That fee is nominal, right? It might be $25 to $75. But again, the real profit is on the exchange rate, so don't be fooled. But again, using Money Corp, we can get rid of that transfer fee as well. You would wire, if you're buying a house in France, as an example, you would wire us your US dollars into our American-based account. We would then do that conversion and send those euros where they need to go. But again, because it would be a dollar-to-dollar domestic transfer, that little fee goes away.
Right, because then it's
the next thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. But again, and even sometimes the bank will say, we value your business so much, we're going to waive that fee for you. But
I'm going to charge you 30,000.
Happy days.
Right.
So again, it's just having these conversations so that we can all be more knowledgeable in our decisions, because otherwise, by default, we automatically think my bank has helped me with my credit cards, my debit cards, my student loans, my whatever else. So we just assume that our banks are also going to be the best provider for international transfers. And unfortunately, that's oftentimes just not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So how long does it take to do the transfer through a traditional bank versus through Money Corp? Is there, and again, I know it's consultative, so it might take longer because you're waiting for the right, exchange rate. But when the button is pushed and the trigger's done, what does the transfer look like? Is there a hiccup in that with the traditional banks or not?
So with Money Corp, all of our transfers are done within 1 to 2 business days, and that would be determined based on the amount of time it takes us for you to send us your local currency. And then again, just time differences and so on. We typically advise our clients 1 to 2 business days. It's not uncommon for clients to call me and say, I transferred money on the 1st of June, and I don't know what happened, but the person that I was sending money to didn't actually receive the money for 2 weeks. So there is sometimes with banks just this lag time, and really no one can put their finger on why it took that long.
Well, because
it's sometimes because these banks.
Yeah,
it could be the case, right? But there's also instances where banks have to use intermediary banks. Mm-hmm. So your money isn't going just from A to B, it's going from A to B to C to D, and then ultimately where it needs to go. And then you have to deal with certain holidays in specific countries or policies at a certain bank that require them to hold the funds for 3 days. And it just gets a bit messy. So with Money Corp, you can clearly see your funds coming into your account and then your funds going out, and it will always be one stop and then one stop on the other end.
It reminds me, if you've ever, if you ever ordered something, that you saw on Facebook and you find out it's coming from China or Austria or whatever, and they give you the ship, it's en route. It's en route for a month because it's stuck at some border passing through, and and it's just a makeup bag or a pair of shoes or something. It's the craziest thing. And so, yeah, I think that's what's happening. It's just getting stuck, in there. When someone's thinking about,
my kids call that Christmas in February, because it's all of the things that I ordered them for Christmas in November, but they actually come in February, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
you were good at school today. Here you go.
𝐢𝐢𝐥𝐥 last year, the same thing. I'm going, here's a picture of it.
Or that.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone's buying a house and, and we're working with a foreign national or working with a client that has money overseas, and now that whatever the situation is, we're not, and of course this podcast is international, but generally most of the people here are in the US. And we're saying, hey, I want to make this move to another country, or I need to, move money over. What is when is the best time for them to connect with you to make sure that they can put all this together? It's one thing to transfer and pull that trigger, but it's another to set everything up. When's the best time for them to be working with you? Is it before they find a house? Is it when they think about it and then they can make a deposit? Tell us about that.
It's as early on as possible. So in order to really reap all of the benefits that are available for a foreign client, it's best that they start having a discussion with us when they first get this thought of potentially buying a property overseas. Mm-hmm. The reason, again, one, we can just tell them what today's rate of exchange is, because that's ultimately going to be important to them when they're figuring out, can I afford a property that's $100,000 or can I afford a property that's $400,000? If they don't know the value of their currency in US dollars, they have no idea what they're looking for. So I'd say very early on, it's important for them to have that initial discussion with us. And there's no cost or obligation for Money Corp services. So if someone wants to have their Money Corp rep monitor the exchange rate for them for the next 2 years, fantastic. That way we can really take advantage of those peaks and protect your clients against those troughs as they're going to happen throughout that process. So again, I'd say as a mortgage provider, a title company, a realtor, definitely take advantage of referring your clients early on in the process. That way, if there is a negative exchange rate fluctuation, you're not going to lose that buyer because they can no longer afford that property. We're going to have coached them and informed them of those movements that could cause them to back out of their purchase.
Right. Or lose their earnest money, right? Because they can't get the money in time. And you've already spent your commission check, because we know how that goes, right? We know how people are when it comes to that as well. So, okay, yeah. I get that. Do you only exchange money for the purpose of real estate, or what are some other purposes that you exchange money?
No, not at all. As long as there's a currency exchange and international payment requirement, Money Corp can help. So nowadays we're absolutely helping a lot of people take those extravagant yacht vacations, right? If you're going to spend $20,000 renting a yacht in Croatia, then Money Corp can absolutely help you convert those US dollars into euros so that you can save some money on a trip like that. Yeah. We are dealing a lot with people doing destination weddings, things like sending children to study abroad. Yeah. But those are just some examples of types of payments that people don't even think about. And by default, again, you're just going to go to your local bank, you're going to tell them where you need to send the money. And then afterwards, you're going to go, I really thought I was going to end up with more Japanese yen, British pounds, euros, or whatever it is than you thought. And you're right. If had you used a provider, you would have gotten more bang for your buck.
Okay. So if I'm going, and this is a true example, in February, I'm going to Africa for 14 days I'm not going on well, I mean, I don't know if we're going to have a safari. I'm going for a mastermind, and there's a camp that we're going to, and we have to make, all these little puddle jumping things to get to Tanzania. Is there a reason that I would want to consider this for that type of a trip? Or is that small peanuts for what you all do.
No, absolutely. I mean, Money Corp's minimum is $250. So as long as you're doing a transfer for more than $250, there's benefit in using Money Corp. The thing that you need to think about, though, is I need to have an account to transfer those funds into.
Yeah.
So I can make the payment to your mastermind class, or I can make the payment to your hotel. But as far as you just having local money to spend at the market while you're there, you'll unfortunately still need to use a credit card, debit card, or something to access cash.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So I'm curious because there are people that are paying for this mastermind. I'm a speaker, so mine's all paid for. I was talking about ancillary money. So people that are paying for this, that are paying, let's say $25,000 to come to this mastermind, is it beneficial for them to just do an even exchange in the US for 25,000, or is it beneficial for them to I don't even know what the money is in Africa, but to transfer that money over and pay through that mechanism? Is there a benefit to the user, given today's exchange?
For sure. If the class is being charged in a foreign currency, then 100% it's worth them sending their money through Money Corp. If the class costs $25,000 and they're paying $25,000 to an American company, then no need to use Money Corp. It's $25,000, call it a day. But if it needs to be converted into Tanzanian currency, South African currency, whatever currency they require, then yes, there's benefit in those attendees to use Money Corp for those payments.
Okay. What if there's someone who is from wherever and they're coming to this event and they've received an invoice from the US for 25,000? Is there a benefit for them in that reverse version? I'm just trying to figure out all the different ways people could use this money.
Absolutely. So let's say that they're coming from Japan and they're attending this class and the class costs $25,000. Then they can use Money Corp to convert those Japanese yen into US dollars. And if they do that, it will cost them less Japanese yen to get 25,000 than it would if they just go through the bank, right? Yeah. And I don't know that specific currency exchange rate right off the top of my head, but it might cost. Yeah, the credit card's going to, one, charge you fees, and two, charge you a percentage. A lot of people say, oh no, I'm a platinum card holder, I don't have any transaction fees. Again, the fee is one thing, the exchange rate is another. And on cards, it's usually about 3%.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I think this is important for coaches because, I'm a coach, right? And I coach people all over the world. And I just think it's a really cool way for money to be exchanged, through that, if it makes sense for that to happen, thank you for that. What about charitable donations? We just, I belong to a royal order, and we yesterday were on a call and said, look, we need to raise like $10,000 for Colombia for this orphanage where they can't, they're not going to make it through the end of the month kind of thing. What benefit is that for the entity, not for me, but for the entity?
Sure, good question. So Money Corp has the ability to set up accounts not only for private individuals like we've talked about so far, and these are the people buying houses, buying horses, buying boats, you name it, sending children to study abroad, but Money Corp also has the ability to assist companies and corporations, large and small. So a company can establish a relationship with Money Corp so that we can help them save money on their conversions and then send these international payments to where they need to go. One of the things to consider as a business, if you're selling your products or receiving currencies in foreign countries, you might not have bank accounts in all of these places. Right. So what's going to happen is if someone in Haiti wants to send you money, then they're going to send that through the bank. Your US bank is going to receive it, and it's going to automatically get converted to US dollars at the bank rate of exchange. The alternative is you say, here, pay into my Money Corp account in your local currency. That saves them. You then have the ability to accept that foreign currency into a Money Corp account and convert it when it's convenient for you or when it's necessary for you to do so. So as a business, it's definitely a great opportunity because you don't have to have bank accounts all over the world. All over the world can pay you into your Money Corp account.
Yeah. And so you're not experiencing all the little extras that, I mean, there are some banks that require certain minimum balances, or then you have penalties, and then they have exchange fees. And then, it's just like the whole, and it's, and I'm thinking about Square and Stripe, these payment places that people, use to do that instead of doing it there, because, the bank takes, Square takes a bunch, and, it's just a bunch of stuff. Okay. So you had asked me to
You
ask.
might be surprised as well. I'll mention really quick. It's really hard for people nowadays to open bank accounts overseas. So as a US corporation, you can't just call the UK and say, UK bank, I want a bank account. They'll say, where's your business based? We need proof of address. We need all of these things that you don't have.
Right.
So that's, again, a way that Money Corp can be a solution.
What a great way. And this is becoming more and more and more big. I know there's a lot of companies that do it. Maybe they do it the wrong way, but this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue as we start stretching our fingers out, into our global economy. All right. One of the questions that you asked me to ask, and the rest of them I just asked because I'm curious, is what is the number one mistake that you see international clients make when buying or selling a property overseas?
So one of the big things that we've dealt with since the start of COVID, and really before then, but COVID really compounded the problem, is there's something in the United States called the United States Patriot Act, which part of it states that you're unable to facilitate an international transfer without being physically present in your bank. So what you had are all these people that live outside of America going, you know what, I need to sell off my Florida property. I can't get there. It's the property value is way more than I ever thought it would be. It just makes sense for me to sell. And what was happening is those properties were selling like hotcakes. And the title company at some point is asking that foreign owner, what should we do with your proceeds at the time of closing?
Right.
And the seller, not being given the right advice, is telling the title company, just put it in my American bank account. I'll worry about it tomorrow. Well, when that seller calls their bank tomorrow, the bank tells them, we will not send you your money unless you're physically present here. And bear in mind, this was COVID, so they couldn't get here to get their money, nor would they want to get on a flight to fly to America just to walk into their bank to sign a piece of paper to get the money that's rightfully theirs. So that's the biggest mistake that I see happen day in and day out. Had the realtor just taken the steps to introduce that seller to Money Corp, then by all means, we would have suggested for them to have the title company move the dollars at the closing table into their Money Corp account, and then we can help them convert them and send them back home whenever they want. If they don't want to send it immediately, then fine, they can leave that balance on their Money Corp account, and we can wait until the rate gets better.
Yeah,
exactly. But if the title company puts the money in the American bank, the client calls me crying 2 days later and says, what could I do? And it's not always an easy fix.
So I would say that would probably be the same if Americans were buying overseas, that whatever their equivalent of a title company is, says, hey, wire the funds to us. We would have the same issue, with our bank and all the costs and all that. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
One of the things on that point as well is we're seeing a lot of Americans right now investing internationally, and what they're doing is they're going on these trips to kind of view properties. But what happens is, if while you're in Portugal, you find the property of your dreams, and then you're told, okay, in order for you to get this property, you need to put down a good faith deposit, so to speak.
Earnest money.
They're calling their American bank, and the bank's going, we'll send it when you get back. Well, you might have planned to be there for 3 weeks. And so again, in that instance, we're highly suggesting that people kind of pre-fund their Money Corp account with, a few $1,000s that could be enough to cover a deposit in the event that happens. So it's unfortunate. It's just these things that you need to be proactive in your thinking, and hopefully seeking advice on this before you just jump on a plane or transfer money anywhere, because unfortunately it can lead to big mistakes that you just had no idea were possible.
That's a really, really good point. I love that. I forgot about the earnest money. Yeah. And, and moving quickly. I mean, because other markets are just, are competitive just like us. You may encounter that, and you don't want to be walking around with cash in a foreign country, right? Nobody wants to be walking around with cash no matter where you are. thank you, number one, for all of this great information. I've known a lot about Money Corp, but I'm learning even more about it. I'm so excited about learning about this, to be able to help people. I work with a lot of investors who are now looking overseas, and just a lot of different people. So that's really, really important. What is one other thing you'd like to leave us with, aside from, because I need this too, how do we get in touch with you? What's the best way for us to get in touch with you? But what would you like to leave us with?
So I'd like to leave you with, don't ever think any question is too silly. Don't ever think that any amount is too small to bring to our attention. The team and I here are here for you and for your clients. So don't hesitate to reach out with any question whatsoever. Again, just because even if a client is getting a mortgage, they're still going to have to make international payments. They've got to put down a deposit in that local currency. They might have to send money monthly. They might need to pay property management dues. So again, whether a foreign client is paying cash or financing, it's still a great opportunity for us to save them some money. And as far as contacting me, my email is always a fantastic way to reach out. It's my first name dot last name at moneycorp.com. So that's Kelly.Cutchin at moneycorp.com. And again, my cell phone is always close by, and don't hesitate to reach out if I can help. And that number is 863-207-6616.
Got it all written down. I had it, but I'm putting it in the show notes for everybody. Okay.
And
advice
for realtors and your other audience that are here, I would say Money Corp's partnership program is there as a resource for you. So as a realtor or a ancillary service in this real estate market, reach out, because I'd love to tell you more about our partnership program and how we can maybe help you grow your business globally. We do have partners all over the world, and would be happy to make those connections, right? We're all about connecting people. So don't hesitate to reach out and learn more about our partnership program, and hopefully we can help you grow your business and help your clients save money on all their international payments, as well as your personal payments if you, like Jen, are maybe considering buying or investing overseas.
Yeah, I love that. And just to be clear on the partnership program, so rather, for the real estate agent who says, their client says, well, I'm selling my house. And so they're listing the house and they're saying, well, where are you moving? I want to help you get your next house. And they say, well, I'm moving to Portugal. And you're like, oh, I'm not licensed there. I don't have connections. That's what you're talking about, is you've got connections all over the place that they can have the opportunity to serve their clients and maybe make some money. I'm not going to promise anything there, but yeah. Okay. Awesome.
You got it. And just as much as the agents here in America might want to connect with an agent in a foreign country, those agents in foreign countries would love nothing more than to have a contact with a real estate agent here in America, of all places. So I have plenty of people that want to speak to you, just as you may want to connect with someone internationally.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. I mean, especially me, I can tell you, I'm going, okay, so if we want to do this, do I need a visa? Do I need a work visa? Can I just go live there? How do I do this? And I know that that's, those people are going to be able to answer all those questions for me. So beautiful. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You're going to need not only a realtor, but again, if it's a tax consultant, an immigration attorney, a foreign national lender, there's lots and lots of services out there. And some of them are specific for helping Canadians buy in Italy or Americans buying in Portugal. So we can help make sure that you're speaking to the right people.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then on your staff, I imagine you all have an unlimited foreign language specialists.
We do have offices in, I want to say, 10 different countries, and you'd actually be surprised how many languages some of our team members can speak. So we can cover most just everyone, but there are some exotic ones out there. But yes, we can help most of your foreign clients, even if there is a language barrier.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Kelly, thank you so much for sharing this. I hope that those people that are listening are going, wow, I didn't even know this world existed. I knew some of it existed, but not the depth that I just got from you. I, of course, knew about it, but I just love that it's available for a multitude of different things that are going on. And now my ears are perked up about this when I hear about it from somebody, anyone, about how, gosh, I mean, there's even wine that's shipped, I live in wine country. So there's wine that's shipped all over the place, and it's probably a nightmare. And what a great opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing this with me. And thanks for what you're doing for people to help save money and make things easier for them, with all of their investments and exciting things that they do in their lives as well. Appreciate the work you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I obviously love what I'm doing. I wouldn't be here 17 years later, still excited to help people. I'm so glad that we connected at the Florida Realtor Expo. It's just a great reminder that, you never know who you're going to cross paths with, and just be kind to people, and there'll probably be an opportunity for you to do some collaboration with them in the future. So I'm very excited that we reconnected, and I genuinely hope this is a great resource to all your listeners.
Well, I know it is. Thank you so much. 1 degree of Jen, right? Because when we were talking, I couldn't believe that we knew something. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I worked with somebody, and then you gave me her name, and I was like, so that was so cool. That was so cool. Well, thank you again for joining us. I sure appreciate it. And thank you for listening in. I hope that this has provided you with something that you can, take action on. We have all the links to Kelly plus the company as a whole. You can check them out. This might be an opportunity for you to expand your business in this difficult market, to have other opportunities available to you. So take them and take the action on it. And until next time, we'll see you on Mortgage Lending Mastery.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Be sure to subscribe to hear more sales tips, ideas, strategies, and tactics to help you with your personal and professional growth to multiply your results in record time. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Wanting more beyond the podcast? Join our Mortgage Lending Mastery membership community, where you will find extended interviews with our favorite guests, weekly training, tips, and insider secrets, fireside chats with Jen, free content, meet, share, and collaborate with other members, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about this exclusive content. Mortgage Lending Mastery is an Industry Syndicate charter podcast. Industry Syndicate is the first podcast network specifically for the mortgage and real estate industries. Get the Industry Syndicate app in the App Store or Google Play today.